The annual Galactic Racing Championship had always been the crown jewel of interstellar competition. For 10,000 years, the most advanced civilizations had gathered to showcase their fastest ships and most innovative propulsion technologies. Humanity's first invitation was met with barely concealed derision from the galactic community. "You're allowing them to compete." High Commissioner Zixtal of the Arcturus Confederation clicked his mandibles in amusement. Their fastest ships still use fusion drives. They haven't even mastered quantum slip technology. The championship committee's chairperson, a crystalline being named Ethereal Song of Stars, pulsed with soft blue light. "The rules are clear. Any spacefaring civilization may enter. We cannot discriminate based on technological advancement." The gathered representatives of various alien races watched the holovid of Earth's entry ship, the TSV Starcatcher, as it performed qualification maneuvers. Its sleek hull gleamed under the light of distant stars, but to their advanced sensors, its propulsion system seemed almost laughably simple. Dr. Elena Martinez stood before the championship committee, her dark eyes fierce with determination. As Earth's lead representative and the Starcatcher's chief engineer, she had endured months of subtle and not so subtle mockery. "We understand we're new to the galactic community," she said, her voice steady. "But humanity has a long history of surprising those who underestimate us." The Venturi ambassador, a being of pure plasma contained within an engineered force field, flickered with what passed for laughter among his kind. "Your confidence is admirable, Dr. Martinez, but this isn't a local competition. The racecourse spans 17 light-years through some of the most challenging spatial phenomena in the galaxy. Ships using quantum slip drives take nearly 6 hours to complete it. With your primitive fusion technology, you wouldn't finish in under a month." Elena smiled, the kind of smile that had appeared on human faces throughout history, just before they proved everyone wrong. "We've made some modifications to our drive system." "Modifications?" The Arcturus representative leaned forward. "Your species barely understands basic spacetime manipulation. What possible modifications could compete with ships that can bend reality?" "That's proprietary information," Elena replied. "But I'll be happy to demonstrate during the race." As she left the chamber, Elena's communicator chirped. Dr. James Chen, her deputy chief engineer, appeared on the screen. "How'd it go?" "Exactly as expected," Elena said, entering the secure transmission room they'd set up on the neutral space station. "They're completely convinced we're hopelessly outmatched." "Did you get the final test results?" James's grin widened. "Better than we hoped. The quantum resonance chamber is stable at 99.97% efficiency. They're so focused on our fusion drive, they haven't even noticed the gravitational harmonics we've built into the whole structure itself." "Perfect." Elena began reviewing the data scrolling across her screen. "Keep the cloaking fields active around the secondary systems. As far as their sensors can tell, we're running on nothing but fusion power and optimism." "The team's starting to worry," James admitted. "The Arcturus ships broke 12 records in their qualifying runs. Their quantum slip technology is decades ahead of anything else in the race." Elena's smile turned fierce. "Good thing we're not trying to beat them at their own game then. Humanity didn't get this far by following other species' technological development paths. While they've been perfecting their quantum slip drives, we've been exploring principles they never even considered." "They think they're seeing our limits," James said, understanding dawning in his eyes. "But they're really seeing the best disguise we could possibly have," Elena finished. "Their own preconceptions. Humanity's greatest advantage has always been our ability to think differently, to find solutions no one else would even consider because they're too focused on the right way to do things." The Starcatcher hung in its berth, its hull reflecting the stars. To the advanced sensors of the alien races, it appeared to be exactly what they expected. A primitive human vessel, pushing the limits of fusion technology. None of their scans detected the crystalline lattice woven through its structure, or the quantum-entangled particles suspended in perfect alignment throughout its frame. They didn't notice because they weren't looking for anything so primitive to have such sophisticated applications. In 3 days, the race would begin, and humanity would remind the galaxy why underestimating Earth was always a mistake. The committee's final words echoed in Alina's mind. "We've allowed your entry out of diplomatic courtesy, but please understand, this race represents the pinnacle of galactic achievement. It's no place for primitive technologies." Alina had thanked them politely, knowing that sometimes the best response to arrogance was simply to wait. After all, humanity had spent its entire history being told what it couldn't do, what was impossible, what was beyond its reach. And humanity had spent its entire history proving those limitations wrong. Deep within the Starcatcher's engineering section, Dr. James Chen placed his hand against a seemingly ordinary bulkhead. Quantum sensors read his biometrics, and a hidden door melted away, revealing the ship's true heart. The circular chamber pulsed with an otherworldly blue-green light, crystalline structures spanning from floor to ceiling in an intricate geometric pattern. "Status report," Alina called out as she entered, her footsteps silent on the quantum-dampened floor. The engineering team, carefully chosen from 12 different Earth nations, worked at various stations around the chamber. Dr. Aisha Patel looked up from her quantum harmonics console, her eyes bright with excitement. "The resonance matrix is performing beyond expectations. Every time we run the simulations, the efficiency ratings improve. It's like the crystalline structure is learning, adapting to our needs." "That's exactly what it's doing," Alina confirmed, bringing up a holographic display of the ship's quantum architecture. "We didn't just build a new type of engine. We grew it. While other species focused on brute-forcing their way through space-time, we took a different approach." The display showed the intricate network of crystalline formations that ran throughout the ship's hull. To outside observers, they appeared to be simple structural reinforcement. In reality, each crystal was a quantum computer, part of a vast neural network that could manipulate the fabric of space itself. "The latest data from the quantum slip drive tests is interesting," Dr. Marcus Wong added, scrolling through streams of information. "The Arcturus ships are incredibly powerful, but they're inefficient. They're forcing their way through space-time like a bullet through water. We're more like water itself." Alina nodded. That had been the breakthrough that changed everything. 5 years ago, in a small research facility beneath the Antarctic ice, her team had discovered something remarkable. Space-time wasn't just a medium to be traveled through. It could be resonated with, like a musical instrument. "Remember," Alina addressed her team, "when the race starts, we'll be running on conventional fusion power for the first leg. We need them to keep underestimating us. The quantum crystalline matrix stays dormant until we reach the Carina Nebula checkpoint." The team shared knowing looks. They'd spent years being dismissed by the galactic community, their primitive technology barely worthy of notice. Every mockery, every dismissive comment had been protection, allowing them to develop their revolutionary drive system in plain sight. Dr. Sarah O'Neill, the team's theoretical physicist, pulled up another display. "We've identified the perfect point for activation. The nebula's radiation will mask our energy signature when we bring the quantum matrix online. By the time they realize what's happening, we'll be rewriting their understanding of physics." Alina finished. She touched one of the crystals, feeling the subtle vibration of quantum possibilities humming through its structure. "Humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology. It's our creativity. Our ability to look at a problem from angles no one else considers." James gestured to another display, showing the race course. "The aliens think we're pushing fusion technology to its limits. They haven't grasped that we're not trying to match their quantum slip drives. We're doing something entirely different." The crystalline matrix pulsed softly, its network of quantum computers continuously optimizing itself. Unlike the brute force approach of quantum slip technology, which torn holes in space-time, their system worked in harmony with the universe's fundamental forces. The crystals didn't just compute, They sang to the fabric of reality itself, creating resonances that could carry the ship across vast distances with minimal energy expenditure. Final systems check, Elena announced. Tomorrow is the last qualifying round. We need to maintain our appearance of being exactly what they expect. A plucky human ship doing its best with fusion technology. As her team dispersed to their stations, Elena studied the holographic representation of their quantum matrix. The aliens, for all their advanced technology, had fallen into the trap of thinking there was only one path to the stars. They'd perfected their quantum slip drives over thousands of years, never imagining that a primitive species might find a completely different way. The Starcatcher's true nature remained hidden beneath its conventional exterior. The crystalline lattice, visible only as structural reinforcement to external scanners, waited quietly. Each crystal was a node in a vast neural network, ready to begin its symphony with the universe itself. "They think they're seeing our limits," Elena murmured, watching the quantum harmonics pulse through the ship's hidden heart. "But they're really seeing the greatest advantage humanity has ever had, the gift of being underestimated." In less than 48 hours, the race would begin. And when it did, the galaxy would learn that sometimes the most revolutionary advances didn't come from the most advanced civilizations. Sometimes they came from species who had to think differently, who had to find new paths because the old ones were blocked to them. The Starcatcher hummed softly, its crystalline heart beating in rhythm with the quantum fabric of space itself, waiting for its moment to show the galaxy that humanity's primitive technology was anything but. The starting line for the Galactic Racing Championship stretched across the void between stars, marked by a series of quantum beacons that pulsed with iridescent light. 37 ships from 23 civilizations waited in formation, their hulls gleaming under the distant starlight. The Starcatcher, positioned at the back of the grid, looked almost humble among the exotic vessels surrounding it. Final systems check, Elena's voice carried through the ship's command center. Fusion drive reading nominal. Quantum matrix in standby, completely masked from external scans. The race controller's voice echoed through all ship's communication systems. "The course has been set. First checkpoint, the Carina Nebula. Second, the triple star system of Rigel. Final stretch through the Maelstrom corridor. May the most advanced ship win." Several alien observers chuckled at that last part, their eyes fixed on the human vessel with mixture of pity and amusement. Race begins in 3, 2, 1. The void erupted with energy as the alien ships engaged their quantum slip drives, reality warping around them in spectacular displays of power. The Arcturus vessels took an early lead, their advanced technology tearing holes in spacetime with casual efficiency. The Starcatcher's fusion drive flared to life, pushing the ship forward at what seemed to be a respectable but unremarkable pace. Within minutes, most of the fleet had disappeared into quantum space, leaving the human vessel apparently struggling to keep up. "They took the bait," James reported from his station. "Every single scanning system in the fleet was focused on our fusion drive's signature. Not one of them looked deeper." Elena allowed herself a small smile. Status of the crystalline matrix. Quantum resonance building exactly as planned, Aisha confirmed. The crystals are already learning from the wake signatures left by the other ships. By the time we reach the nebula, we'll have mapped every quantum frequency they're using. The first hour passed with the Starcatcher maintaining its position at the rear of the pack. Occasional communications from other ships reached them, mostly condescending messages of encouragement that barely masked their amusement at humanity's brave effort. As they approached the Carina Nebula, Elena watched the tactical display with growing anticipation. The massive cloud of gas and dust would provide perfect cover for what came next. The alien ships ahead were already beginning to struggle, their quantum slip drives fighting against the nebula's intense radiation and gravitational distortions. "They're following exactly the course we predicted," Sarah announced. "Every ship is trying to force its way through using raw power. None of them are even attempting to work with the nebula's natural quantum states." Elena nodded. time to show them a different way. Bring the crystalline matrix online. Let's show them what happens when you stop fighting against space and start dancing with it. The hidden crystals throughout the ship's hull awakened, their quantum resonance building like a symphony. Where other ships fought against the nebula's chaos, the Starcatcher began to move in harmony with it. The crystalline network analyzed the complex quantum states of the surrounding space and adapted, turning the very obstacles that slowed other ships into pathways. Energy signature masked by nebula radiation, James confirmed. As far as their sensors can tell, we're still running on fusion power alone. The Starcatcher accelerated, but not in the brutal, space-tearing manner of quantum slip drives. Instead, it moved like water flowing through cracks, finding the paths of least resistance through the quantum fabric of space. The nebula's swirling gases and energy fields, rather than hindering their progress, became highways of quantum resonance. "We're passing the Venturi ships," Asia reported with barely contained excitement. "Their quantum slip drives are operating at only 40% efficiency in this environment. Our system is at 98% and climbing." One by one, the Starcatcher overtook the ships that had left it behind at the start. Its passage was subtle, almost elegant. No dramatic tears in spacetime, no massive energy expenditure. Just smooth, efficient movement through the quantum possibilities that existed in every moment of space. The communications channel crackled with confused and increasingly alarmed messages from the other ships. How was a fusion-powered vessel moving through the nebula, as if it weren't there? What technology could possibly allow such efficiency in conditions that challenged even the most advanced quantum slip drives? "Should we respond to their queries?" James asked, grinning as another alien vessel fell behind them. Elena shook her head. "Let them wonder. The real show hasn't even started yet. Once we clear the nebula." She touched one of the crystalline nodes embedded in her control panel, feeling the ship's quantum heartbeat synchronized perfectly with the space around them. "That's when we show them what thinking differently really means." The Starcatcher continued its seemingly impossible advance through the field, its true nature still hidden beneath layers of misdirection. Ahead lay the triple star system of Rigel, where the gravitational forces would make conventional quantum slip travel nearly impossible. But for a ship that could sing to the quantum fabric of space itself, it would be just another dance. The triple star system of Rigel loomed ahead, its three massive stars locked in an eternal gravitational dance. The space between them was a quantum nightmare, a maze of overlapping gravitational fields and radiation storms that had claimed countless ships throughout history. Even with quantum slip technology, navigating this region was considered one of the most challenging feats in known space. Arcturus ships are attempting to penetrate the gravity well, James reported, watching as the leading vessels struggled against the intense forces. Their quantum slip drives are trying to tear through, but the gravitational interference is causing severe space-time distortions. Elena studied the tactical display, watching the complex patterns of quantum energy flowing through the triple star system. Where others saw chaos, she saw music, a cosmic symphony of gravitational forces and quantum possibilities. "Their mistake," she said, "is thinking they need to overcome these forces, bring the crystalline matrix to full power. Let's show them what happens when you learn to listen to space itself." The Starcatcher's hidden heart came fully alive, its network of quantum crystals resonating in perfect harmony with the gravitational waves surrounding them. The ship didn't fight against the tremendous forces. It joined their dance, using the very energies that trapped other vessels to propel itself forward. "Multiple ships are dropping out of quantum slip," Asia announced. "The gravitational shear is too intense for their drives to compensate. They're falling back to conventional propulsion." Through the command center's viewport, they could see the spectacular light show of quantum slip drives failing, their attempts to brute force through space-time collapsing against the overwhelming gravitational forces. The Arcturus flagship, still in the lead, was visibly struggling, its quantum field flickering like a candle in a storm. "We're being hailed," Sarah reported. "It's the Arcturus High Commissioner." Elena nodded. Put them through. High Commissioner Zixtel's face appeared on the screen, his mandibles twitching with a mixture of frustration and disbelief. How? Your ship. It's moving through the gravity well as if. This is impossible with fusion technology. You're right, Elena replied calmly. It would be impossible with just fusion technology. Fortunately, that's not all we have. She gestured to Aisha, who activated the external quantum sensors. For the first time, they allowed other ships to see what was really happening. The Starcatcher's hull shimmered as its crystalline matrix became visible, the entire ship pulsing with quantum resonance patterns that matched the gravitational waves around them. What is this technology? Zixtel demanded. Our sensors show no quantum slip signature, no reality distortion field. Because we're not trying to tear through space, Elena explained. We're not fighting against the quantum fabric of reality. We're becoming part of its pattern. Your quantum slip drives are like trying to cut a path through a forest. Our approach is more like finding the trails that are already there. The Starcatcher accelerated through the heart of the triple star system, riding the gravitational waves like a surfer on Earth's oceans. The crystalline matrix adapted continuously, its quantum neural network learning and evolving with each passing moment. Where other ships saw obstacles, they found opportunities, using the intense gravitational forces to slingshot themselves through space with unprecedented efficiency. Multiple ships are requesting data on our drive system, James reported, unable to hide his grin. Tell them all technical information will be available after the race, Elena replied. Right now, we have a point to prove. The Arcturus flagship made one final attempt to maintain its lead, pushing its quantum slip drive to maximum power. The space around it warped dangerously as it tried to force its way through the gravitational maze. Warning signals flared across the Starcatcher's displays. Their drive is becoming unstable, Sarah warned. The gravitational forces are too strong. They're risking a catastrophic failure. Elena opened a channel immediately. Arcturus flagship, power down your quantum slip drive immediately. The gravitational shear is about to tear your ship apart. We will not be defeated by primitive. Zixtel's transmission cut off as his ship's quantum field began to collapse. Get us alongside them, Elena ordered. Extend our quantum resonance field. The Starcatcher moved with impossible grace, positioning itself next to the struggling Arcturus vessel. The crystalline matrix pulsed with increased power, its quantum harmonics reaching out to encompass both ships. Gradually, the dangerous energy fluctuations around the alien vessel stabilized. What are you doing? Zixtel's voice returned, heavy with confusion. Saving your ship, Elena replied. Our quantum resonance field can help you ride the gravitational waves instead of fighting them. But you need to shut down your quantum slip drive now. For a moment, pride warred with survival instinct in the High Commissioner's eyes. Then, finally, he gave the order. The Arcturus ship's quantum slip drive powered down, and the Starcatcher's field guided both vessels safely through the gravitational maze. As they emerged from the triple star system, the race standings showed something unprecedented, a human ship in the lead, followed by a mixed fleet of vessels that had learned to follow in its wake, using the quantum paths it revealed to navigate safely through what had always been considered one of space's greatest challenges. Final leg approaching, James announced. The Maelstrom Corridor. Elena nodded, her eyes fixed on the swirling quantum storm ahead. Time to show them that humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology. It's our ability to see solutions where others see only problems. The Maelstrom Corridor waited, its quantum turbulence making the triple star system look like calm waters. But now, every ship in the race was watching the Starcatcher with new eyes, realizing that perhaps they had something to learn from these primitive humans after all. The Maelstrom Corridor lived up to its name. A twisted realm of space where quantum storms raged perpetually, making conventional navigation nearly impossible. Even the most advanced quantum slip drives struggled to maintain coherence in the chaotic energies that swirled through this region of space. The Starcatcher approached the corridor's entrance, its crystalline matrix humming with accumulated knowledge from the race's previous challenges. Behind it, the remaining ships followed in loose formation, many now actively studying the quantum wake patterns the human vessel left behind. "They're all copying our approach now," James observed, watching the sensor readings of the other vessels. "Not perfectly, but they're learning." Elena nodded, her hands moving across the control surfaces as she studied the quantum storms ahead. "Good. That was always part of the point. But now," she smiled, "now we show them what this technology can really do when it's pushed to its limits." The Maelstrom Corridor's quantum storms presented a challenge unlike anything else in known space. Conventional wisdom held that ships should force their way through as quickly as possible, using brute power to minimize exposure to the chaotic forces. But the Starcatcher's team had spent months studying the corridor's patterns, seeing what others had missed. "Bringing quantum resonance to maximum sensitivity," Aisha reported. "The crystal matrix is detecting patterns in the chaos, quantum eddies and currents that no one ever noticed because they were too busy trying to punch through." The Starcatcher entered the corridor not with a violent burst of power, but with an almost gentle transition. The crystalline matrix began to sing, its quantum frequencies adapting and changing in real time to match the storm's chaotic rhythms. Where other ships saw only destruction, they found harmony. "It's beautiful," Sarah whispered, watching the quantum analysis of their passage. "The storms aren't random at all. They're like jazz, complex, improvised, but with underlying patterns if you know how to listen." The ship wove through the quantum maelstrom with impossible grace, riding waves of probability that other vessels couldn't even detect. The crystalline matrix wasn't just adapting anymore. It was predicting, anticipating the storm's movements moments before they occurred. Communications from the other ships had ceased. Every crew was focused entirely on studying the Starcatcher's passage, watching in amazement as the human vessel demonstrated a completely new way of approaching space travel. "Multiple ships are successfully following our quantum wake," James reported. "They're learning faster than we expected. The Arcturus flagship is particularly adept at it." Elena's smile widened. "Of course they are. They're not stuck in their old ways anymore. Once you show people there's another way to look at a problem, it's amazing how quickly they can adapt." The Starcatcher emerged from the Maelstrom corridor well ahead of the fleet, but that was no longer the most important thing. As other ships emerged, their crews had already begun composing messages, not congratulations, but questions. How had humans developed this technology? Would Earth be willing to share their research? Could this revolutionary approach to quantum navigation be adapted to other fields? The finish line's quantum beacons pulsed ahead, but Elena took a moment to respond to one message from High Commissioner Zixtal himself. "I owe you and your species an apology," the Arcturus leader said, his earlier condescension replaced with genuine respect. "We assumed that because you approached space travel differently, you were primitive. We never considered that you might have found a better way." "Not better," Elena corrected him. "Just different. Your quantum slip drives are still incredible achievements, but maybe the future lies not in choosing one approach over another, but in learning from all of them. After all, that's how humanity developed our quantum resonance technology, by studying everything we could about how other species travel through space, and then looking for paths no one had tried yet." The Starcatcher crossed the finish line first, but the real victory wasn't in winning a race. It was in the dozens of messages flooding in from across the galaxy, as species that had looked down on humanity's primitive technology suddenly realized that sometimes the most advanced solution wasn't the most obvious one. In the days that followed, as the Galactic Racing Championship concluded and the delegations prepared to return home, Elena found herself in countless meetings with representatives from other civilizations. They all wanted to know not just about the technology, but about the thinking that led to it. "The greatest obstacle to innovation," she told the packed conference hall, "is the assumption that there's only one path forward. Humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology. It's our willingness to question everything, to look for solutions in unexpected places, and to never ever accept that something is impossible just because everyone says it is. The crystalline matrix of the starcatcher continued to pulse softly in its birth, its network of quantum computers still learning, still evolving. But now it wasn't just collecting data about space. It was becoming a bridge between civilizations, a symbol of what could happen when different species stopped competing and started collaborating. As Elena looked out at the assembled alien representatives, she saw not the condescending faces that had greeted humanity's entry into the race, but potential partners in exploration and discovery. The race had started as a competition, but it had ended as something far more important, a reminder that true progress comes not from proving superiority, but from showing that there are always new ways to solve old problems.